Well, the writ is being drawn up at Queen's Park today, meaning it's officially game on in the Ontario election campaign.
Therefore, this House is accordingly adjourned.
Well, yesterday, the symbolic tossing of the papers from the gallery at Queen's Park representing the bills, which died on the floor when the legislature is dissolved. While it seems all three leaders have been out drumming up support for months, today marks the official start of the campaign. All three leaders are starting off the day right here in Toronto. Doug Ford and Kathleen Wynne will hold rallies later in the day in Ottawa. Andrea Horwath has all of her events here in the GTA. A woman in her 20s is in hospital with serious injuries after a bullet grazed her head during a shooting in Pelham Park Gardens. Police were called to the scene near Keele and Dundas just after 11 last night. Police say there was some sort of discussion going on between the victim and the suspects, and the suspect shot at her at some point. Investigators are now looking for two males. A stabbing on Weston Road just north of Eglinton has landed one man in hospital. His injuries are considered serious. Happened around 2:30 this morning, and police say that there are reports that two cars stopped and a group of up to 8 men jumped out and attacked the victim. There have been no arrests and so far no description of either the suspects or the vehicles involved. A man in his 20s being treated for life-threatening injuries after a stabbing in Willowdale last night. Officers responded to a mall in the Yonge Street and Empress Avenue area at about 7 o'clock last night, where they found the victim with multiple stab wounds. Security followed the suspect, and police now have him in custody. The victim still in critical condition, and so far, no charges have been laid. A luxury car crash in Toronto's Portland's caught on video, but fortunately, nobody was hurt. Well, this video just coming out. It happened last month when an exotic car club had gathered at Polson Pier for a photo shoot. When some of the vehicles were late, the driver of a McLaren 720 was taking passengers for a drive. But when one person pulled out his phone to record the video, the driver hit the gas and slammed into a parked Audi R8. By the way, that McLaren, it sells for about $300,000, and the Audi about $170,000. And York police are kicking off an initiative today to crack down on street racing. With the better weather now here, there may be the temptation to speed things up a bit on those roads. Police want to make sure that drivers don't use streets as a racetrack. The TTC has launched a new initiative aimed at making it easier for people with disabilities to get a seat on public transit. Staff at the TTC stations will provide a blue button that says, "Please offer me a seat," to anyone in need. They're intended to indicate that a person needs a seat without having to disclose long-term conditions or invisible disabilities like HIV, fibromyalgia, and chronic pain. TTC spokesperson Brad Ross said although the buttons are meant for people with both visible and invisible accessibility needs, no proof is required to get one. We'll be speaking with him at 7 o'clock. A planned subway closure this weekend has been canceled. The TTC had planned to close Line 1 from Sheppard West to Lawrence West for repairs. That's now not happening because of a labor dispute between the TTC and its union. Employees will not be working overtime. The union says it's concerned the TTC is using overtime to avoid hiring more workers. They're also concerned that would make it easier for the TTC to privatize some positions. And meanwhile, to address overcrowding during the morning rush, the TTC planning to add another train on Line 1 in September. The annual cost of the extra train would be about $2.4 million. 2 trains have already been added to the line due to overcrowding. We have some breaking TTC news now. No service on Line 1 between Wilson and Vaughan Metropolitan Center stations. That's due to signal issues at VMS. Of course, we will be able to bring you the latest on this as soon as it becomes available.